Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
Hope everyone's having a great day. We've got Jeff Miller coming in here in a little bit, talk about some sports. Kind of excited about that, see what's going on at the school. And I know yesterday was kind of a rainy day, but they did have some games going on. I know the boys varsity ended up losing to Sunapee, but I know the girls softball varsity won. I think they're 5-0. So we'll have to definitely,
awesome.
we'll have to definitely get into this with Jeff gets here. But we just want to do some talk about the 5K. We've been talking about, we'll talk about this all week. So we've got a challenge out to all our listeners, all five of you, and you know businesses to. If you put a donation for us, and we'll do the 5K, the Sunshine 5K, which is this Saturday, and we'll wear a pink tutu, and Steve's going to do like a pink cape, and we'll basically humiliate ourselves so that way we can raise money for charity, which is it's going to be for a Newport cause. So I didn't tell you this yet, but Carrie Greenwood, which is Andrea's cousin, messaged me this morning and said she's going to give us $105.
Wow.
So I don't know, it's kind of a weird number, $105, but I wasn't going to argue it because I was just grateful we got someone to donate finally.
Finally.
So I want to thank her for doing that. And like I said, we'll if we can't beat Chiefs Wilmot's time, if what it would take him, basically, he'll run it once. We'll double his time. If we can't beat that, then we'll match whatever donations we get within reason. Like if someone calls up and says, "Hey, I'm going to give you $1,000," like we aren't exactly wealthy people. We're just a bunch of I don't know, kind of like more farmers now, I think, than anything. So, but we'll definitely match. You know, if it's a couple $100 for sure, we're gonna match it if we can't beat it. So I want to thank Carrie for that, and then I know Andrea called in to Steve Smith's show this morning with Kevin Anello was on and Jim Burrows, and Kevin said something about if we could beat his time, he'd give us $100. But
Nice.
I know Kevin. I'll call him myself, and I'm sure he'll give us $100 for a donation, and then. Jimmy Burrows, who's running for selectman, said that he would reach out to me, and I'm sure they'll do something too. So we do appreciate that, and anyone else out there that wants to donate, like, it's just for charity. It's just a fun thing we're gonna do. You can tell, obviously, we're not runners, but we just wanted to participate in a local Newport thing to get out there and get more recognition for the run itself, and then also. Hey, if we get an opportunity to do it and then like raise a little bit of money for charity, I'm all about that.
All for it. And supporting the local community is important, making sure that we're involved, not just as we encourage everybody else to be involved, but make sure that we're showing up and we're doing our part. And there's a lot of things going on around town, and this is a big one put on by the rec center. And we just want to make sure that we're walking the walk after we're sitting here.
Walking the walk, talking the talk.
Making sure that we put the information out there so that we can all enjoy this great town that we live in.
Absolutely. So another thing tonight at 6:00, there's the National Honor Society induction ceremony that both me and you are be going to for our daughters, Zeta and Alicia, both in National Honor Society, and this is something they do, I believe, every May. It's basically to honor these hardworking students. It's a dinner thing, and it's for parents. And so shout out to all the members of that, all the new members going into it.
All the new inductees coming in tonight.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
I love seeing hard work pay off, and this is just one of the ways they're doing it. So also for school events, I just want to mention a few things, and we'll keep mentioning them throughout. But the Top Seniors Celebration is going to be May 17th, and that's at the Opera House. They have prom on Saturday, May 21st, which is coming right up soon. And then graduation is Wednesday, June 8th at 6:00, and that's going to be at the high school football field again this year. So those are some big things there.
And I want to say I heard someone mention that there are prom dresses available.
Yes.
At the clothing closet,
There was, yes. So I saw that. So basically at the SAU, I guess there's like 20 dresses that I'm assuming previous people had donated for someone that can't afford a dress or whatever. That way they can go, and I'm sure that they're beautiful. I mean, most prom dresses are beautiful, and so for some reason, if you're a girl going to prom and you don't have the finances to get a dress this year or whatever, for whatever reason, and nobody needs to know, you could reach out to the SAU. You could go through that and see what they got and, take advantage of it,
Yeah. And if you don't like the dress, make it your own. Do a little
And I would just
craftsmanship to it.
and I would just throw out there too, like for some reason, if you're a high school or a senior going to prom and you can't afford a tux, because Andrew was saying to me, he's like, yeah, well, what about, there could be some guys that, don't have a lot of money in their family. And so if for some reason, like legit 100%, if for some reason you are a boy going to prom and you can't afford a tux, reach out to us because I will pay for that out of my own pocket. To make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to go. And so we've got the girls covered because there's a lot of dresses, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
The show's going to end up costing us a lot of money.
I know it's funny that I want to thank Twin State Paving for sponsoring the show. And well, at the rate I'm spending our money, I think we're kind of in the red, probably like 100 times what they've given us. But I want to thank Twin State Paving for sponsoring us. And then if anyone else out there in the community has a business that wants to sponsor us, get your name on the radio. We talk about you, and hopefully, it's a good advertising, and it's local money.
It's not the radio; it's the internet.
Well, it's the internet. It's our fake version of the radio, I guess. We're
a bunch of Steve Smith wannabes.
We're Steve Smith wannabes. We're just using YouTube and Facebook and going about that. So there's some of the events. We'll keep talking about those, obviously. One thing that's very interesting, so we always talk about the school is kind of this hot topic, right? So usually when I especially go to board meetings, I'll leave there and feel like a lot of people are mad at me because I mention things that people think but don't want to say. And so I'm always praising the select board meetings because you can go there and talk about anything, and I'm still thankful that you can do that. But so last night, apparently there was some issues with broadcasting it live for whatever the reason, but I'd heard on the radio this morning that Kevin O'Nella, and so Kevin's on every Tuesday from 8 to 10 with Steve Smith, and it's a good time. I've gone on there before, talked about the school with him, and he's just all right. He's a good guy. And he had Jim Burrows on, who's running for selectman, and they were talking about, I guess, last night at the board meeting in public forum, Josh Stevens from K. Stevens brought up something that apparently they were like a low bidder on a job, like $112,000 lower, and they weren't given the job, even though they had all the qualifications and everything. And it sounded like it was kind of something where they had done the sidewalks at one point through Village and up by the police station. And I guess there was an issue with the sidewalks they had done, which apparently gave like a negative feedback to the town. But they fixed them out of pocket, hired private people to what happened here? Was it bad concrete? Was it workmanship? Like, what happened here?
Right.
So it come to find out, it sounds like it was the concrete issue, that it was spec'd a certain way. They did it the way they were supposed to. Long story short, he's like, hey, we live in town. Josh was like 2 years ahead of me in school. So I've known Josh and his family for a long time. And also his wife was a year ahead of me in school. And so they're upset, and they now have a suit against the town because they feel like their name, their reputation has been tarnished because of something that was out of their hands, that there was bad concrete or bad spec product. They went and they fixed it out of their own pocket because they're like, I talked to Josh earlier today, and he said, litigating this is just going to hurt our town.
Right.
And is it really going to benefit his company? And he decided as a company, no, it's not going to benefit my company. So he's got a question, and the way it works by statute is that the lowest qualified bidder gets the job. So the town manager would approve of the lowest qualified bidder. If they don't take the lowest qualified bidder for whatever reason, sometimes you could have a bad work situation like this. They could say, well, it's because of sidewalk issues before. However, I don't feel like that's a fair thing, because you could say, well, I have data that proves that it wasn't bad workmanship. I have nothing negative about it. So
that's what they had said at the selectmen meeting.
Yeah, so we had watched the selectmen meeting, before starting our show, just to get the information, because I didn't, get it last night. And so it doesn't seem like that's the issue. And so what would happen if they were to take the second highest bid, or any other bid besides the lowest, by statute, and a lawyer could call in and correct us on this, but from what I understand from all our research that we've done, that if you are the second highest bid or any other bid for that bid to be approved, the select board have to approve it. So unfortunately now they've been served with paperwork, so they couldn't answer any questions
Right.
last night. So now we've got like this, I don't know, mini scandal in our town kind of thing. Like,
Yeah,
what happened here?
we got one side of the story last night, so we
We
don't have
do.
the full side of the story. But
That's
from
true.
watching it, it seemed as if K.A. Stevens, that's the company,
Yep.
that there was an issue with the sidewalks. They saw the issue, or the issue was brought to them. They corrected it themselves instead of going through any other way. They just corrected the issue,
Right.
acknowledged it last night, like there was an issue and we fixed it. And based on what I heard at the selectmen meeting, there's nothing at the state showing that K.A. Stevens has either positive or negative feedback. So it's just going to be interesting to see how it plays out, and we get the rest of the story at some point as it goes through litigation now.
Right. You know, it's unfortunate because with the litigation, something that would be quicker and we could just get an answer to yesterday, perhaps. You know, it can't go this. So now we'll have to like wait this process out. But as a taxpayer, it's concerning because was there legit reasons for this, or was it like a political thing? What was it? Why was this decision made? Because that's $112,000 of our taxes that are spent on something that didn't need to be spent on something, because the job could have been done for obviously $112,000 less. And obviously, when if you're not familiar with construction projects, you have to be bonded. So any job that a town will hire a company for, no matter who the company is, you have to be bonded. So basically, if it's a $10 million job, you have to have a bond to cover that $10 million. So if you were like a fly-by-night kind of contractor, came in, took a big old deposit, started the work, and then went off to Jamaica and said, "The heck with this, I'm out," there was an insurance policy to cover municipalities to make sure that they're covered on these jobs. So you can't say it's like, well, hey, because he had a bond agent there last night and said, "Hey, no, I've bonded him since 2006 or whatever on every job, and yeah, he's less money on a lot of these because I don't know, maybe the overhead's not as much on it with his company. I don't know details, but so I thought that was an interesting thing that I make the public aware of. Watch the Selectmen's meeting. That's the easiest way to get all the information. It's up on NCTV's website now, and it's on their Facebook page. But I was
Yeah, it's
kind of
interesting.
surprised.
Definitely, I would recommend everybody just kind of tune into it, watch, fast forward if you need to.
There's
see what's
definitely a
going
lot
on,
more
and-
that's going to come out, obviously,
Right.
about this. This is something very new, but I was kind of caught off guard because usually all the drama's at the school board meetings, and now all of a sudden it switched back there. Like, not that we encourage or want any drama in our town, but it's just something that everyone needs to be aware of, and this is another little pitch for being involved in, especially in local
Right.
government, so you know what's happening, and if this is something that was done and that shouldn't have been done, then someone needs to pay the price for that or whatever, because
Be held to account.
held to account. Yes, exactly. Accountability.
That's accountability, and take responsibility and accountability, which it seems as if that's what K.A. Stevens did with the sidewalks. They took
Yes.
responsibility and accountability by correcting it. They didn't make an issue out of, as they said, that it was a concrete issue. It wasn't their actual issue. And I don't understand fully how the concrete is certified.
Yeah, there's different specs for different jobs. It's all engineers, and
Right.
so Kay Stevens just basically took the plan. Like I've done some jobs before, like with my sewer business back in the day. We'd have jobs that, for instance, septics, and I have a plan. I have to put it in based on the plan. I have to use the material that the plan says that has been approved. On a septic system side, it's based on the state. On municipality jobs, that'd be approved by the engineer of the town or the project manager, whatever. So it sounds like they put in what was supposed to be put in, but something got overlooked somehow with the stamping process, and whatever happened. They fixed it, because that was and I'll be honest, my first opinion when I saw them digging them up, 2 years ago, whatever, after they had just put them in, I'm like, oh no, looks like Stevens messed something up. And then come to find out, someone's like, well, no, it wasn't Stevens' fault at all. It was something with concrete. It was a mix. And I know another contractor that had the same thing. He put a foundation in for a customer. Something happened in concrete. Occasionally, things go wrong, right? That's just how it is. But kudos to Josh and his family business for stepping up and saying, hey, we want to make this right for Newport. We live here, we grew up here. I guess he had said, but his family is like one of the 3 founding families in Newport,
wow.
which I had no clue about that, which I thought that was kind of cool. But and as a business owner, we've done that many times. Like, I've made mistakes. It happens. You make it right for your customer. That's what you always do. And it sounds like that's kind of what's here. And it seems like in their eyes,
over
yes,
to the bridge project.
Yeah. So they, bid a bridge on Sand Hill. They were considerably less. And it sounds to me there was no other cause except, we weren't happy about the sidewalk situation. And so it'll be interesting.
Based on, again,
this is based on the meeting last night.
For
exactly.
the selectmen's,
yes.
They couldn't respond because
Correct.
it has gone to legal. So
yes,
we're only, and I'm not saying that Josh wasn't what he was saying was incorrect, but we don't know the town's perspective because they weren't allowed to talk. So it's definitely worth watching. Start forming your opinion, and I'm sure if you bump into Josh, he'll probably explain it to you, and if he can, what he can now, because it isn't illegal. So there might be some things that he.
I know, like I said, it's kind of unfortunate because they thought that was the best approach for them because this could tarnish their reputation, and
right.
I understand that. I'm someone that worked very hard on my reputation for a long time, and if there's something out there that's hurting it and it's not legit, if it's just rumors, because we all know how rumors work, right? So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, but definitely watch the selectmen meeting. Yes, on the town side they could not respond, so I don't know who made the decision. I don't know. We'll find out in the end. Either way, we'll find out because this is kind of
well, it's important to keep abreast of because of the $102,000 difference.
$112,000.
$112.
Yeah.
Excuse me, $112,000. So
it's
a lot of money.
And that's this is a year of voting on a community center, and if we just spend $112,000 that we didn't need to, we could at least put it wherever. It could be on another road that needs paving, or so it'll be very interesting to see how that comes out. And on the accountability thing, I apologize to you because I seem to be spending our money a million times faster than we make it, but I'm a sucker for charity stuff, so
that's why we're doing it.
I know so we're trying to upload these shows faster. So yesterday's show finally got online at like almost midnight. So the process is we taped the show, or we were an hour, like 18 minutes yesterday. The computer is really slow uploading the video to the computer. The editing part that I do is really quick.
Yeah, you edit it very quickly.
Yeah, and then the sharing it to make it a video is taking forever. So I got like 3 hours or so in time on that, and then I give it to you. Your internet's faster than mine by a considerable amount of time. It still takes about 2.5 hours to upload it. So we're really trying to work to get these things out a little quicker and more prompt on time, so people can know when to look, for our show. Because as fun as this is, I would like people to watch, listen, and get feedback from people.
Right, it'd be nice for them to put it on while they're driving home from work versus. Well, I guess they could listen to it tomorrow morning on their way to work.
Yeah, so we're trying to get ahead of stuff, especially like sports. Like Jeff's going to come in today, and we'll talk about the whole week, so that way we have all the information. Because obviously the sports we talked about yesterday, about the games yesterday, the games are over at the time you got the information from us. But so we're trying to get more of this events out, and as we get more, I'm trying to get Shannon McMichael on. I want to reach out to her tonight and say, hey, we need you to come in because the Car Nuts show is starting, and it's going to be this coming Monday, I believe. So that could be a good opportunity for us to go out, check out some cars, and mingle with the people, because that's a big thing that happens in town. And so we're trying to get her on as well to go over a lot more stuff. We have PJ Lovely coming up tomorrow. He's going to meet with us, talk about the rec center, talk about some of the events going on. And then Chief Wilmot just messaged me back and sounds like he'll be able to meet with us tomorrow. So
nice.
That'll be awesome, because then we can put out our challenge to him and apprise him of everything that we've told everybody that's going to happen. So
he'll probably end up with a burst of speed when he finds out that we're going to take donations to give to charity, or we're going to match the donations.
Yeah, we're going to have to find a way to slow him down. Like, we'll come up with some plans, like tie his shoestrings together, or there's something. Cause
got to be something.
He's going to smoke us. And
I know. I told him when I asked him his age, I'm like, well, even if I run for the next year, to get myself. I'm still going to be in the same age category as him, and I'll never.
Yeah, so he's in the 40 club, but he said he was 40, right?
Right.
I will be 39 in June, so I'm close there. You're a few years older than us, but
Yeah.
he's fast. We walk out to your pond and come back, and we're huffing and puffing. And I'm like, oh, great, we're gonna do a 3.2 3.1 mile run this time on Saturday. So yeah, so if you want to donate for charity to watch us in pink tutus, please do. It's going to go to a good cause, and we'll make all that public. And like I said, it's local. That's the whole purpose of our show. So we'll be back here in just a few minutes with Jeff Miller to talk about sports. Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. Jeff Miller is in the house. I've always wanted to say that.
Yeah. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for coming in. We want to talk about some local stuff today,
Absolutely.
some sports. First of all, introduce yourself to the 5 listeners that we have at this point, our viewers.
5 are better than none.
Yeah, once we get to 10. So you're the first guest ever on this show.
All right. That'll be a good trivia question.
Yes, eventually when we get to 20,
It'll be on Jeopardy.
Yes, you'll be like rock star material. Be like, who's the first guest on that show above Steve's Garage? And everyone's going to be like, it's Jeff Miller.
Nice.
I like it. All right, tell me a little bit. So you're the athletic director at the Newport.
Athletic director at Newport. This is my 7th year. I've been at the school 12. A lot of people know, but some don't. I'm a 1982 graduate of the illustrious Newport Senior High School is what it was called back then. Back before there was a tech center. That whole end of the building was not there. So I go way back to the old days, and
I'm going to make you feel old because I think my mom graduated in 83.
I think she graduated in 82.
82.
Because I think she was my graduation marching partner.
Ah. Holy crap, I'm learning things I don't even know about myself. Oh.
She was in my class. You're talking about Sandy.
Yes.
Yeah. We were marching partners in graduation.
30,
Small world.
30 almost
go.
9 years of life, and
You didn't even
I
know
just
that.
found something out that I had no clue about.
It was just a picture on Facebook
Right.
and she was in there. And
With you?
And that was me.
Oh my God. I'm
That
gonna have to look
skinny
that
guy with the bushy hair was me.
up. Wow.
That was a lot of pounds ago.
Jeff's almost like family now.
I know.
Yeah, I've been at the school for 12 years. The first 11, I also taught special education because the AD position is a half-time position at Newport. So I do that. This year I'm what's called the campus monitor, which I've been doing a lot of different duties for Principal Martin, covering a lot of learning labs and helping kids in classes. And
Nice.
but that's to allow, as athletics is becoming increasingly paperwork and phone driven, especially with because I also do middle school, so I have a lot of answering of emails and phone calls with parents about practices, about this, that. Before this, I spent 20 years in the newspaper business, mostly as the sports editor of both the Argus and or the Eagle Times when there were still real newspapers around.
Right. I miss those days.
Unfortunately, I saw the writing on the wall, the way that business was going, and I was good friends with the athletic director at Kearsarge at the time, Marty Brown, and he had always been telling me that I needed to work with kids, so he got me into a cohort of Kearsarge teachers that were getting their master's degree, and I went and I took the classes, and I got advice from somebody that said take all the special ed classes, because what I wanted to teach was history. History jobs don't always come around, but as we know, special ed jobs are always available, and that's how I got hired here early on the Alt 4 program and
Nice.
taught, and I never would have gone back to history. I actually really enjoyed my time in special education, but it's tough to meld the two positions because of all the meetings and all the paperwork and all the required It's just,
Yeah, it seems like a lot of my conversations with like the superintendent and principals and everything is paperwork, and like
and it was even more so once COVID hit.
right.
I mean, last year was just a beast with meetings and with so much of it is required. We don't even have, and like so much of the money that's where the money has to go first. And I'm sure you're finding that out on the school board that, there's just some costs that no matter what you do,
Bureaucracy
control.
messes up
So-
everything.
Yes, absolutely. And that's, I get to be with kids, so I focus on that end of it and try to stay out of the money stuff because that's not my forte.
So you're the part-time athletic director, but what you actually mean is you're the full-time athletic director. You're paid part-time.
Well,
That's probably a pretty fair
I mean,
statement.
we are one of the largest schools without a full-time athletic director, but
Now, did we used to have one? Because I remember when I was in school. No, all right.
Newport's never had.
So in the past,
A
was it the
full-time.
athletic director and maybe the PE coach was their PE teacher were the
Those
same?
were a lot I replaced Mr. Beaupre, who's now over at Stevens. He taught PE while he was here.
Okay, all right.
He's, Stevens has a full-time AD, and, most of the schools around us do. We haven't. It's been one of those things that has been expressed as a need by administration, by the school board, by this superintendent. But
Do you know what's holding it back?
just money.
Money?
Just, can't justify
Sorry, it's money.
the whole position, and that's fine. I mean, I'll do whatever. I mean, this is where I want to be. I mean, currently there are 12 AD positions available in the state of New Hampshire,
Wow.
but this is where I live. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understand, like, and I'm speaking from my own personal opinion, not for
Right.
the school board, but the amount of time that you all dedicate as teachers in your position now as an athletic part-time, athletic director being paid part-time. If they're not coming out and seeing, just like tonight, there's the National Honor Society. The
Correct.
teachers are driving that, and I'm sure some positions get some pay for that, but you're not getting paid
Well, there's
to drive from baseball game to baseball game, or do you? Do you get
Well, it's
mileage
part
for
of
that?
No, it's
Yeah.
part of my. I mean, I'm paid half as an AD, half as campus monitor. I was half AD, half teacher.
Right.
And but people. I have friends that go, "Oh, you're an athletic director. That's a cool job." I wish I had a job where I didn't have to work because they think it's all going to the games and watching the games. They don't. Which I mean, I'm not complaining. I love what I do.
Right.
I would do it.
But
I
it's
mean-
more to it.
Right.
The
My-
scheduling.
There are a lot of non-glamorous duties.
Right. There's a lot of things that
You
you
know,
do behind
like-
the scenes that people don't necessarily see, just like with teachers, like the
Right.
National Honor
Right.
Society, with you
Right.
going to 4 different games
Right.
or trying to make all 4 different
Right.
ones. And
Plunging a toilet at Toll.
Right, like-
Basketball games, filling cleaning up messes, you just.
And I think that gets lost in
Right.
discussions about pay and what you're
Right.
doing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there's a lot of things that you're not getting paid to do
Right.
that you're doing, and you're doing it because you love the kids, you
Right,
love the
and
environment, you love the town.
And that's the thing. I mean, it's here. I'm not, I don't ever foresee myself looking to go get a full-time AD position that pays 3 times what I get in Manchester, or, even like you go over to Kearsarge, or even Stevens, and it's.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
not far.
That's not my. This is where I want to be.
And it sounds like we've got a lot of we've been very blessed in Newport over the years to have a lot of staff, teachers especially,
We do.
that have literally been here for a long, long time because this is home. They love Newport. They want to go above and beyond for their community. And, this seems to be
Well,
same as you're saying.
It was so. I don't know the word, just very satisfying for me to see that Mr. Spanis was named the Citizen of the Year. By
I saw that. I thought that was
That is
awesome.
So people don't even know. I mean, he helps me out. If we've got 4 different things going on, or if I have to be out of town a lot because I'm on some NHIA committees, I'm on some New Hampshire Athletic Director Association committees, and I just call him and he knows how to be a game director, and he
That's
just
awesome.
does it, and he just does so many things that for the kids. He could teach like at Colby Sawyer or at the college level, but he stays in Newport
He's another Newporter.
because that's where he wants to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paula Fish is another one. She's not going anywhere.
Right.
I mean, we went to school here, and that's what I always say to some new teachers. They'll come and it's not for the faint of heart. Our school, I'll be the first to admit it hasn't been. It takes, you got to have some tough skin because there's, whether somebody's on this side of an issue or that side, it's, you just got to go and focus on what you do and do what you do best. And they come in and they go, oh, I don't really think I like it here. And I said, you better be careful because if you stay too long, it'll get under your skin and you won't want to leave.
Right.
And,
Right.
and the one thing they say is, they always go back to, they love the kids.
Right. We've
It's
heard
never,
we've-
it's never the kids.
Right. Right.
Some of the other things, like I can see a young teacher coming in, we don't pay teachers as much as other schools do.
Right.
So they're looking and they're trying to start families. I can see why they go. It doesn't make me happy because we've lost lots of good young teachers, but
And that's definitely something that, more for you on the board, but I know like for me outside of the board is to really push and see what kind of job we can do for next spring for our, the budget for that year is to getting some of these teachers more money to be more competitive with these, other schools so we don't keep losing our staff. Cause that's like the biggest thing I keep hearing is turnover rate. I was fortunate enough when I was in 5th grade, I had Mrs. McKenney who there was a key group of I consider them like rock star teachers, and Miss McKenney was my rock star teacher in 5th grade. And I was fortunate enough that she had me in 5th, and then she moved up to 6th, so I got her for 2 years. And her and Mrs. Nibley, who were like best friends, and they actually were co-principals at Toll School, and that was open for a long, long time. And like they had such an influence on my life and my schooling.
Mrs. Nibley was my 4th grade teacher, and she had that kind of influence. She was one of my favorite teachers I ever had.
Yeah, well,
I had her for 4th grade.
yeah, like the Thurlows. So you were in my mom's class. You had Mrs. Thurlow. I had
And
Mrs. Thurlow.
and Mr.
My son had
Thurlow.
Mrs.
Oh, yeah.
Thurlow.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the teachers that have such an impact, and they're so like embedded in our school that you ask anybody, and it's like the same kind of names keep coming up that the big influence they've had, and
It's hard for me because I realize we don't pay our teachers, but I also grew up here. I live here.
Right.
I'm a native, and I'm not a big. Even though I was a teacher, I'm not a big union guy. I was always on the other. I was always in management positions, so I'm not like gonna be like a spokesperson for a union. That's just not my style.
right,
And because I'm here, some teachers would say, why don't you get out there on the line and hold, and I go, no, some of these people are people I know, and I know that they can't afford, so I get that we need to pay our teachers more, but we can't do it at the expense of putting taxpayers out on the street, so.
it's a
It
very
makes
hard
it
balancing
very hard
act.
for me to go out and be a spokesperson for
Right.
that. It is, if, again, like I believe if the state would pay for education the way they should, we wouldn't have these issues like we have.
I agree, and I know that's something like we will definitely discuss in future shows. Probably get the Huberts on, who are a big proponent for the school funding thing.
See
That
if you can get the one who's on the committee that's right in our area that we vote for, Ruth Ward.
Right.
And have her explain to our tax base why she's not for the state holding up their end of the bargain. That's where the fight needs to be.
Right, exactly. It's at a state level, and
Yeah.
and that's the challenge with it because we as taxpayers take the burden of it, and And according to the New Hampshire Constitution, the state is actually responsible for funding education, but their adequate education is like 4,700, and Newport's budget for next year is almost 20,000 a student. So obviously there's a huge difference between there that we're having to come up with. And the state needs to step up and stop kicking the can down the road and actually fix the issue that they were elected to fix. And yeah, no, absolutely. So I mean, that's one thing. Like I said, we're trying to bridge that gap a little bit so that we don't keep losing our teachers. And budgets are a tough thing. I mean, it's
not, and it's like, I keep looking on social media because I look at it to see, I don't take it personally. People have said why is athletics doing what, it's whatever it is.
Yeah, it's
not
social.
Gonna please everybody.
No,
I look at it, but they're always willing to post these things on test scores of schools, and I'm not a big, fan of those types of test scores. I think they're skewed in a lot of ways. I think, they don't always factor in a lot of the special ed population, which we have a significant amount compared to some of the schools that score higher on that stuff. I think other schools manipulate those numbers by hiding some of their lower scores. That's just my opinion. And it goes back to the whole teacher union thing and how there's always this education guru, and Mr. Spanis and I like to call it edu-speak, right? I listen to this stuff, and frankly, a lot of it to me, and I tell them, we're all rushing to do this thing because we think this person knows what they're doing. 4 years later, it's going to be somebody new. I said, frankly, most of it's all crap. Yeah. Listen to the kids, talk to the kids, teach the kids, and
it's like we keep trying to reinvent the wheel.
Stop doing all these fancy.
Exactly.
The way I explained it in a faculty meeting, and it wasn't really popular with some of my fellow teachers, was sometimes you just want vanilla ice cream. You don't need Tutti Frutti. You don't need, birthday cake. You don't need all the sprinkles. You just want a cup of vanilla or a cup of chocolate ice cream.
Right. We overcomplicate so much, it seems, and that's where I think some of that, I've talked to a bunch of different people because, we obviously were worried about our school scores and whatever.
Right.
And so like, why is Newport at the bottom, or why is Newport wherever? And it seemed like a lot of the answer was, we'll go on a certain path for a couple of years. The teachers will get accustomed to something, and then whether we don't give it enough time or what, then we stray over to this side and let's try this, and then it's not work. Like, we need a straight, consistent path.
And the constant changeover that we had in administration, which we haven't had as much lately, and just letting teachers teach.
Right.
They're the ones that know what's going on in their classroom, and we have some fantastic teachers.
My personal opinion is not so much that it's the teachers. I think it's on us as a community as well to instill upon our kids, like, when you go in to take this test, take it seriously, have some pride in it, because I know from talking to some of Zeta's friends that they just go and hit the space bar, kind of like how we had kids when I was in school making the Christmas tree.
Absolutely.
So when I don't think it's because when I subbed, I was a long-term sub for 6 months, and I would tell everybody, these teachers are not paid enough. Like, the amount of stress, of wrangling kids, and like you said, like, you can't take it personal, but like the first day I subbed in the high school, I got cussed at more than I did when I was in the Army, and I was like, are y'all even supposed to be talking like this in high school? Like, I'm an adult, and I'm supposed to be in charge in here. Like, who are you talking to? And so there are some stressors in the classroom that parents, we don't see, because most of us expect our kids to go to school and act right and behave, but
and the majority of them do.
Right.
But there's a certain level of kid that we have that they may speak that way, but that's the way they speak at home and the way they're spoken to. So to them, there are some things you can't slap every kid on the wrist that says a cuss word.
Right.
Sometimes you've got to try to find a way to get them to use less cuss words, and then eventually, but it all too depends on your relationships with
Right.
kids.
Right. And it seems like
You know?
it seems now more than ever like teachers almost have kind of, for some kids, have had to kind of almost step into that parent role because of this home life they got. They don't have a parent, the grams. I've had kids that come to my house in the past with either Danielle or Michaela, and like I'll hear stories like, yeah, we don't have any food in our house, or we're this, we're that,
Yeah.
and I'm just like horrified because my kids don't have
Teachers
that.
feed kids. I mean,
Yeah.
I feed kids all the time.
Yeah.
I have kids that I buy them extra stuff in the lunchroom because I know that's the only food they're going to get today.
And so that's what I was trying to get to earlier is
Yeah.
that like
You don't know, some of them may not have eaten for,
right
I keep hearing these stories, and it horrifies me. Like, this is my town that I grew up in, that I love, that I try to put as much in as I can.
Right.
And when I hear stuff like this, I'm like, what is going on? So one of the things that, I don't know if you've heard yet, so we're going to do the Sunshine 5K, and we're trying to raise money, trying to get donations for people, businesses, whoever. Carrie Greenwood stepped up and said she'd give us $105. I think Kevin O'Neill is going to give us some money. I'm going to hit up on some other people, but
you're going to run it.
we're going to do it. So we'll start
participate.
with like a jog kind of thing. So
My money's on Steve.
well, no. Here's the thing. It's a team effort. So Chief Wilmot will be in tomorrow, and
My money's on Chief Wilmot.
Oh,
well,
definitely.
yes. So we told him, we said, listen, whatever your time is, we'll double your time. If we can't beat what you would basically do 10K in, we'll match the donations that we get. And if we can beat it, I'm going to see if I'll get him to match it. We'll figure that out. We'll put him on the spot tomorrow, and we'll
right.
But we said that we would run this in pink tutus. He was going to do like a pink cape.
Oh.
So we're just trying to raise money for a good cause. And actually, now that you've mentioned that, this would be a good time to mention is. So we want to take the money that we raise from humiliating ourselves and doing this, 5K, and we're going to donate it to the school for, like Patrice has talked about, snacks at Richards and stuff. So we want to donate that money back to the school just for this issue, that for the kids that aren't getting the meals they should and whatever, because I'm not sure how that happens now. And I'm assuming that these kids that are getting meals from the school are probably paid for by people such as yourself, so this kid eats. And so that's just,
There's still free lunch. Right
still
now
free lunch.
for
Yes.
this year, but next year
It's gonna
going
change.
back.
Yes.
So there's going to be more kids, but even with free lunch, there
Right.
are kids.
So they get one meal a day. You know what I'm saying? Like,
know.
and so that's something that,
I know, Nurse Healy at the high school. She always has a big basket of snacks.
Yep.
Katrupi in the office, Haley Katrupi, who does a lot of the discipline stuff.
Yep.
She is always feeding kids. I have stuff in my athletic office. Like I buy waters and Gatorades and things like that because I give them to the officials at half times of games.
Yep.
And there's always some left over.
You're not buying good enough because some of those officials, by the way, seem like they're skewed against Newport. Or is that just my bias? Cause
Wow. Unfortunately, nobody under the age of 50 wants to be an official. So there are officials that now we say they're a good official. We said the same thing about them 30 years ago. They're getting older. There's less of them.
Well, speaking of that,
So
did you get an ump for the middle school softball game?
I did.
I saw that on Facebook earlier, and I was like, I could do that, but I have a National Honor Society
are
banquet
you
tonight.
certified to?
So, I don't know. Do you have to be
Middle
certified?
school, you don't have to
Oh.
be.
So that I'd have an excuse. I'd be like, I'm not a professional.
So how can we plug that for any of our under 50 listeners to get involved? Just
If they go to the NHIAA.org, there's a thing on there that says become an official.
okay.
They click on that, and they've signed up a few basketball, a few soccer. The one that in my opinion is the best officiating group in a sport are the football officials. They are the most. They are held to a lot higher standards.
They take it very serious, and they're very
professional.
yes.
They show up with a tie and a suit coat. They're very, and for the most part, it's humans.
Right.
Are
Yeah.
gonna make
Humans are
errors.
gonna make mistakes.
Yeah, I've seen. I've done the chains a few times in the
But
last
you
couple.
get less. They are generally in control most of the time.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Like I haven't really had a lot of complaints, especially at home games. Sometimes when you're away, you're kind of like, what is going on here? And we've had probably more soccer games or other games that I was
Basketball
like,
and soccer are a lot of the same officials,
right,
and a lot of those guys have been around a long time. Some of them, and for the most part, there are some that aren't as good as others that make mistakes. But for the most part, I believe most of them are honest mistakes. They just
Yeah.
may not be as good as they should
Right.
be at times, and they're not always held. There's more of a buddy system in the football, in the basketball, and the soccer.
and it's a tough job because I mean you're gonna first of all it's a judgment, and if your judgment's wrong or whatever,
And you gotta be
and
in
then
shape.
you have one team that's mad at you with parents that are mad at you,
No.
or the other one's mad.
No. My experience is, and comes from way back from newspaper days, being Mr. Neutral on the sidelines, and that's why sometimes, like, some of the kids will say to me, "How come you really don't cheer all that much?" Well, I was conditioned for 20 years to be neutral, so I'm not an openly, I like our teams to win,
Of course.
and I've gotten better about it. When I first did it, I never even clapped or did anything, but. Yeah, it's
Quite the thing.
it's
But it's
and-
exciting. It's awesome. I love
the
school
thing that I've
sports.
always found is the team that's losing is mad at the officials. They're losing because of the officials, and the team that's winning by 5 goals. Well, if we had better officials, we'd be winning by 10 goals. I mean, a perfect example. It's almost like Newport's had the reputation at basketball of having, because Wheeler Gym is so tiny and it can be very loud with just a few people in there, and because of all the whatever that hopefully has gone away, we've had restricted fan bases, and 2 years ago we had none. I was like, I didn't know what to do being in the gym.
Right.
All you could hear were the sneakers. And then last year we had a few more fans in there, but all of a sudden Newport fans forgot how to be Newport fans. They came in, they sat down. I didn't speak to one person from Newport about, hollering or just getting out of control. It's like, these aren't, I had referees say, "What are you feeding the fans when they come in? They've never been this nice before."
We've lost our edge.
I only had to speak to one person. Well, I didn't have to speak to him. The girls were playing Monadnock, who ended up winning the Division III championship. Monadnock's up by 30 midway through the third quarter, and there's a call made against, obviously, this guy from Monadnock's daughter, and he starts barking just uncontrollably at the officials. So the ref looked at me, and I was over in the corner as you come in. I could hear the guy, but I couldn't quite hear what he was saying. And I walked over to the other corner, and his wife sitting next to him elbowed him, said something, and he sat there silent the whole rest of the game. But he was actually, the ref told me after the game, he was, swearing at him, and I'm thinking, buddy, you're up by 30 points.
Right.
Your team's going to win.
Right.
You don't need to get all out of control. But that was the only incident I've had in 2 years. So next year with full gyms, I'm sure I'll be back to my, having to talk to some of my same friends that I talk to. They get mad at me when I go over and talk to them. But that's I take courses because the thing that I do is I try to go over and sit down and try to talk to them.
Right.
Because no matter how many times they want me to go out in the parking lot, I'm not. My fighting days are long over. You're not going to prove anything there. It's just, that's not going to happen. And most of them are people we all know.
Yep.
And then they call me the next day and apologize. And they're like, because what they do is I always ask them to look at their child.
Right.
And their child's usually looking at them like, keep your mouth quiet.
Yeah.
You
We've
know,
we've been told before, like,
just let us play.
don't show up to a game. This was more the masking thing because they knew how we felt about that. And could you just not come to the game? Like, fine, I won't come to the game. Okay, I'll make you happy.
But I did appreciate the availability that y'all provided by putting it on NCTV, and that was for
That's been
my
great
daughter.
with
her grandparents got to watch it down in Texas.
Yeah,
so.
and that's the thing. I didn't have any. I've had less issues in Newport about masking at games than I've from fellow athletic directors in towns where masking was a big deal.
Wow.
And I had more confrontations with visiting fans, asking them about masks because,
Wow.
people would say to me, and it's like, these are the rules given to me. I don't have a choice. I have to follow them.
Yeah, we've had that conversation before, and it's not your fault. It's
And-
just a
and
job
I
you were
just
told to
tell people,
do.
this is what you got to do.
Yep.
And people did it. Did people pull their masks down? Absolutely. I'm not going to go running around and, it's
It's like your job wasn't hard enough. Let's add more to it, right?
yeah. And it was fine. Newport people were great.
That's-
they did it.
That's impressive to hear.
They did it both years.
I think it helped by y'all putting it, because I don't remember the Zeta's freshman and sophomore year really seeing a lot of on NCTV. Did y'all increase the amount that you put on NCTV?
Yeah, he did because John Lund, because they got that cable.
New cable. Yeah, so I mean
And that was a concerted effort to make sure.
I think
we
that
got
helped
the games
ease it
done.
because it gave people like me and Tim
Right.
an avenue to watch it without showing up, and then
Right, and it's a thing that we've got ahead of other schools is we can, live stream football, field hockey. We should be able to do eventually softball, baseball, and soccer.
that'll be awesome.
With the baseball field coming in down, on the other side of the softball field, and
That's what I heard. Yep.
eventually I think but they want to be able to. But again, I invite any of parents that go to away games. NCTV has all kinds of cameras. They can record games, bring them back, and he'll put them on NCTV.
Oh.
And the problem was we tried getting parents and volunteers to do that, and it's like people say to me about concession stands, which is not in my job description.
That's a
But-
booster club thing, right?
Well, yeah, but we don't have a booster club right now. We had one, and there were a lot of issues, and a previous superintendent. Frankly, what was happening is we had a lot of members whose kids moved on, and they were still doing stuff, and there weren't a lot of new people coming in, and eventually they were just like, my kid graduated 3 years ago. I'm not gonna.
So basically,
No.
it's a younger generation thing, or is the
And it's really hard to get. I mean, I'd love to put more middle school stuff on.
Right.
But again, you got to find a parent that's willing to bring a camera, and they don't want to look in the camera, or and it's hard getting kids because frankly, a lot of our kids who do things, you know that from Zeta, she does
Right.
everything. My daughter was in everything. Alicia, Adriana, they're in all the sports, they're in all the organizations, they're doing all this stuff. And then we have a population of kids who don't do anything because, frankly, a lot of that they don't get at home. They don't get encouraged to do that stuff.
Right.
And that goes along with the whole education.
right? I think
I mean, my kids are both in college and got great educations at Newport. But again, parents have to help. I know your daughter's going off to a good school.
It's something that we looked at from my perspective when we were looking for a place to buy, is looking at Zeta individually, that she'd already changed schools 7 times before that.
Right.
And so she is comfortable with new environments, and also she set goals for herself really young. And I think goal setting is very important, but like you said, it takes getting that message out to parents. And I think some of even the things that Tim and I have said in public is kind of taken the wrong way, in the sense of, I feel like
Right.
it's a community involvement, and I feel sometimes individually people think I'm attacking teachers, and I have nothing but respect for teachers. And I don't want to go out and say, hey, you're a bad parent, right? Because that's not going to do anything but get invited out to the parking lot. But also, how do we encourage them and say, hey, get out and be involved? It's okay to...
Stuff like this helps, getting word out. I mean, that's a big thing there's so many misconceptions over the years with, there's a whole significant part of our community that only hears the bad things about the school.
Right.
They don't hear about the good things, and they don't hear as much always about the good students, because we have to focus on kids that are here.
Right.
And sometimes the kids that get deprived the most are the kids up here. I know that from personal experience. We had to go out and get other stuff, get an online course, for my daughter or for my son or these other opportunities. And I would do it all over again, because that's all, part of being invested in your child's education.
Because we're, as parents, ultimately responsible.
Right.
It's not...
Right. The parents that are invested in their child's education, I listen to them a lot more when they speak and say something than someone that I know from living here has absolutely no investment in their child's education. Then they post on social media, and they don't even know. Don't speak unless you can form an educated opinion on the situation. And that's not a knock, because if they would spend the time, they could do that. But they don't always do that.
Yeah, no, it's a challenge. Like Steve just said, that every time I go to a board meeting or talk about something, it's been this misconception that it's like, oh, well, Tim, he's there and he's slamming on the teachers and whatever. And I'm like, no, I've said many times that the system is broken. The system is made up of the board, the administrative, the teachers, the parents, the community. Something's broken, but it's not the teachers. It's something in the system. It's not the students. It's never been the students. I mean, yeah, we do have some students that are causing issues, discipline issues and whatnot. And, I've had that conversation privately with a few different people. And I feel like that needs to be addressed at some point. But never once has I said, oh, this teacher, these teachers. No, this isn't the teachers. We need to appreciate these teachers. We need to put more effort forward to for them to see that they're appreciated, so that they want to stay in Newport. We need to try to bridge the gap with
That's what we're kind of doing with the show, too. We're trying to make sure that...
And get the community involved. That's the biggest thing. Like, we have sports games going on, and if you're not a parent, that's usually, it's all you see is it's just the parents there. Football, we're a little bit better. We get a little more community involvement, but I want more.
We got a few super fans out here.
We do have a few super fans.
We do have the super fan.
The super fan.
Jamie Reese, proud graduate of Hanover High School.
Yep. Biggest Newport fan there is.
Yeah, it just makes me laugh. When PJ won the state championship track, they came with their van down through the street, and Superfan was out there. Of course, he had no shirt on. He looks like Captain Caveman to begin with. Yes. PJ stopped the van, had him stop the van, and he got out, and right in the middle of Main Street of Newport, they did a chest bump and got back on the van. I wish I had video.
That would be awesome. Is awesome.
Because he just loves Newport athletics.
That's awesome. That's what we need.
I made sure, I said, you wear a mask, Jamie, and I said, you can come into any game. He had, I gave myself an AD ticket. Yeah. And he had my AD ticket because, the kids, if there are any students there, they always go over and sit with him.
Yeah.
He rallies up the crowd.
Oh, yeah. I've seen,
I've sat with him a couple times.
Many times at games, he's louder than the cheerleaders, and he's getting them like, come on, cheer on the, and no, absolutely. And
starts the chants for defense.
Yes.
Yeah. He's
awesome.
So what do we got going on for spring sports right now, and what do we got for games this week?
Games this week, we have middle school games today, which will be nice against Claremont.
Yep.
Trying to think what we have tomorrow. Of course, you would ask me right now.
I know. I'm trying to put you on the spot.
We have baseball, softball at home with Kearsarge tomorrow.
Okay.
But we're supposed to get 100% rain.
Oh, okay.
So Mr. Fitzgerald, the Kearsarge AD, and I have already talked, and if we call the game, we'll call it early, and we'll try to play it on Thursday.
Okay.
Okay?
Where can people find the schedule so that if they're
Everything should be right on the SAU site. That daily calendar is the best one to look at by day.
okay?
Because I give Terry Scott, who a lot of people may know Ms. Scott, but they don't realize that, how there's always glue that holds something together? If we didn't have Terry Scott in that building, I don't even want to believe what might happen, even if we didn't have her for a day or two. Because she is above and beyond the best school administrative person I have ever been around, or in any business.
That's awesome.
She is, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. I mean, she's fantastic.
That's
I
awesome.
just figured I'd get that plug.
Absolutely, anytime.
It's one of those things that people don't see.
Right. A lot of times people don't see the behind the
building.
scenes.
It's like
Yes.
now in guidance office, we have the chief's mother, Ms. Wilmot.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
People like that are invaluable to the running of any type of operation.
That's
She's
awesome.
been keeping us well informed on scholarship opportunities
She's
for
fantastic.
the kids.
Fantastic.
Get a lot of emails from Miss Wilmot.
Yeah. Let me see here. Oh, the middle school B baseball team has a game scheduled tomorrow at Kearsarge. But again, will be weather pending. And with that, I'll try to get, because that's my big issue this spring is I do not have any buses until 4:15 at the earliest
Yeah. I
for
keep
transportation.
hearing a bus situation.
We have plenty of buses, we just don't have any drivers. So a plug that I would like to find, which a lot of other schools have, is they have maybe a retired person that goes out and gets their bus license, but only does athletic trips. Because I am already concerned. I can make it work with the 2 white vans we have for the most part. It's a challenge some days. Like yesterday, I had to bring the baseball team over to Sunapee and drop them off and then have a bus pick them up.
I heard that. I know about that because we got a call from the coach. Amelia was like, "Hey, I need you to pick us up." Miller took the bus and locked her stuff in it, so we don't have our phones. Andrea's like, "Oh no, Amelia will get hurt." No, it's Emilio.
Yeah.
So apparently you had to get back to track. I'm assuming. Is that what was going on? You had track
and
yesterday
I was
too.
down at the track,
Yeah.
and
So it's funny. We heard
Coach
about
called
that.
me, and
Yeah.
I met Emilio and Alicia up there.
Hey, you want your stuff? I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
So we need bus drivers. If we have anybody retired out there that would like to get their
I would like
license.
some that want to just do athletic trips.
Now, do you have to have a CDL to drive a bus?
Yeah, and you got to have a special bus thing. But,
Okay.
I can make it work for the spring,
Mhm.
but with JV and middle school football in the fall,
That's
field hockey, boys and girls soccer,
You're gonna need the big buses.
cross country, golf. Cross country and golf will be using those vans a lot.
So another group of unsung heroes, though, is the bus drivers that we do have. As busy
Oh,
as we're
they're
keeping them.
fantastic, and I always do a transportation for a whole season, and I sent it out to Diane Callum out at transportation, and she sent me back a ha because I've worked with Diane for it. She'll do anything she can to make it work, but she said I don't have any drivers, and we need them for routes, obviously, and I'm like, okay. I'll see what I can do, but it takes, because the way the whole scheduling, things are scheduled, varsity schedules are done almost a year in advance, and we meet and we redo and we move and this and that because we all go through it. Then we go through a little bit later and try to build in JV schedules. And then, I've got pretty much all of next year's varsity schedules in rough form, but I don't have any middle school schedules. So, and right now I'm working on JV football for next year because a lot of the teams we play don't have JV teams, so I try to match up with bigger schools or across the river or whatever. Middle school, I have to then take my schedule and look because I have to make sure we don't, we can only use the baseball field. I can't have JV and middle school playing the same day at home.
Right.
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 And I can't have too many trips going out. So there are only certain days you can play, and then match those up. And middle school schedules are in flux all the time. The games change, or they can't get buses, and they're the ones that always get,
Yep.
because you know, once we sign into a varsity schedule, we have to play the games. It's required of us.
Gotcha.
And so it just, it creates headaches.
So we need bus drivers. CDL with I can't remember, is it a type?
Yeah, I think it's with a bus license or something like that.
Yeah, it should be a CDLB with bus.
B,
Yeah.
okay.
I just want a guy or two, like, Kearsarge has a guy that they stole from us that used to drive for us years ago, and he only does athletic trips. Sunapee has somebody that for years just did athletic trips, if I'm definitely going to have that in the fall, otherwise it's going to be
Well,
a nightmare.
just a plug, athletics from my experience of traveling all over the country, what it provides to the students is invaluable because it teaches teamwork,
Right.
teaches leadership, it
Right.
teaches how to win, how to lose,
Right.
important life skills that.
Well, it's an extension of the classroom.
Right.
And like when I went into teaching and coaching, I do the same things in the classroom that I do when I've coached a team. It's the same thing. You're teaching.
Right.
And you have to take the proper perspective of high school athletics. We're not this pay-to-play AAU team where you go and you try, winning, especially at the varsity level, it's very important. That's the goal. But winning and sacrificing teamwork and sportsmanship and things like that, then I
It's
don't
not
want to
worth
win.
it.
Right.
So it is. It's. There are people who say, "Oh, athletics have nothing to." They do. It's an important part of education.
Absolutely. I agree
And we've had a
100%.
lot of kids that have gotten an education that have put the football uniform on at Newport. If they didn't have that opportunity, they never would have finished school.
Yep.
Right.
And that's not. I mean, that's I don't have any figures. I just know that from being here.
Right.
The JV baseball team is playing Thursday at Hopkinton, and they've really started coming on as of late. They beat Sunapee yesterday, and then Friday, Charlestown is coming here for middle school baseball, softball. Varsity softball, which is undefeated right now, is
That's what I
going
heard.
to Interlakes. And then this weekend, Friday night, the track team is over at a night meet at Stevens, which is always a big meet
That's
and a
awesome.
good time. And we have a lot of good individual track athletes. Mr. Morris might be over there. You going to go watch Zeta?
Probably. She's now that it's. I went to the track meet a couple weeks ago, and I think she just missed getting invited to the invitational. I think she threw the javelin
Yeah.
69 feet, some
Yep.
odd, and
Yep,
she
and that
needed
was a
over
big one
70.
that they went to at Co-Brown. That was an eye-opener with. And then Saturday morning, PJ is taking, it's a freshman and sophomore only meet that we've gone to for years down at Keene. And we have
Nice.
some really talented freshmen and sophomores, so he'll take a group down there. So it's a busy week. Next week, busy week, highlighted by something we've done. It predated me. It was when Mr. Beaupre was here. Whenever we play Stevens in baseball and softball, we do a doubleheader. We play at 3:30 here in Newport, varsity baseball, softball play. Then Stevens takes their bus back to Claremont. We take a bus to Claremont, and we play varsity baseball, softball under the lights on the same
Oh,
night.
wow.
That is awesome.
We've done that for like 10 or 12 years. The coaches don't always like it because
Right.
of the pitching, but a lot of the parents of kids on those teams, they plan by it. A lot of parents take the afternoon off so they can go to both of them. It draws, the night games usually draw a huge crowd over it, and we've done that for, I think Mr. Beaupre started that probably in the 2008, 2009, something like that, and we carry it on, and the coaches always want us to end it, but parents, and the kids like it.
That
So
sounds
it's a
pretty cool to me.
That's
Yeah.
next Friday night.
Friday night. All right. We'll have to put
So
that on
that's
the
a
calendar.
big, that's always a big draw. Plus,
Awesome.
our track team will be in what's called the Connecticut Valley Conference meet next week. There's a qualifier on Tuesday over at Windsor, and then whoever qualifies goes to the finals in Hanover on Saturday the 14th. The other qualifier is down in Monadnock. I don't know if you're familiar with the Connecticut Valley Conference.
No.
It's mostly track, cross-country running, and skiing. And it's been around forever, but it's basically the schools up and down the Connecticut River. You know, down south you have Keene and Brattleboro, Monadnock, Fall Mountain, Springfield, Vermont, Green Mountain over in Chester, and up north you have us, Kearsarge, Stevens, Windsor, Hanover, Lebanon, Hartford. It's really, especially in track and field, very competitive because a lot of those schools are a lot bigger than us. But we've always had good success because we generally have good individual athletes. But it's pretty much like the one they went to this Saturday. It's harder than our actual state meet.
Wow.
It's harder
Wow.
to qualify. So,
Wow.
but it's fun. The kids like it,
Nice.
you know. So, a lot going on.
Awesome. Well,
Gonna
thanks.
be a busy 3 weeks.
I know. It sounds like you got quite the schedule going. So the biggest thing is to get our community members involved, go out, watch some of these games, go to the SAU's website. The games are all posted. If you want softball, there's softball. You want baseball, there's that. There's track. There's just so much going on that get out and cheer on your students.
I have a new sign-up system that I'm contemplating, and I don't want to because it's, I have to get approval from Mrs. Martin and everything, but it should eliminate a lot of questions on schedules, and it should be much easier access for parents, for coaches. It'll be a way for coaches too to directly communicate with just the parents on their team.
Nice.
So
That'll be
it's-
awesome.
Yeah, it'd be good to hear about that if that passes for you. And
And then I'll, I'm investigating starting a new sport at Newport, so, which I think would be a hit in this town. It's not an NHIA sanctioned sport, but it's a sport in 33 other states. It's actually a clay target shooting league.
Oh, nice.
that would be awesome. That's definitely in Newport. That's right down the alley of
And
Newport.
I would like to start a league in New Hampshire. I've been in communication with the gentleman who runs the entire U.S. He's out in Minnesota, and I think it would be fantastic to bring into our school.
I think that'd be awesome.
And I think I could get a community support for that as well.
Absolutely.
So,
We've got
so just keep that. I won't let I'm not trying not to let too much out of the bag.
Well, luckily, it's
Mrs.
like
Martin knows about it, and she's given me approval to
tell our 5 listeners.
look into it. But again, before it became accepted, I would need, superintendent and then, ultimately school board approval. So
You're listening.
I'm
You're listening to this, Steve.
trying to kind of lobby a school board member right now to get behind me on this.
Well, we won't say which one or anything, but yeah. No, hey, Jeff, thank you so much for coming
You're
in,
welcome, anytime.
being our first guest on our famous 5
I
listener
can talk
show.
about sports for hours.
Yeah, but if we do that, then we'll be here for hours. And I'm
It'll
trying
take
to
us
get.
like 12 hours to upload it.
I know we're having
That's the hardest part is uploading it.
uploading because our high-speed internet and this slow computer. But yes, thank you so much for coming in. I want to run out to the middle school softball game and check that out. And definitely we'll have to put that on our schedule for next Friday night. That sounds like a really fun time with a doubleheader. So maybe we'll I'm just thinking Amelia will be playing both games, but maybe we'll watch baseball at one place and watch softball at the other one or something. But we'll maybe see if we can get you in here once a week, give us an update about some of the stuff going on if it allows in your schedule. And
Sure.
people can, like I said, go to the SAU website. All the games are there.
They can reach out to me.
Yeah, what's
I'm
your?
at the school?
Yeah.
It's jmiller@sau43.org.
So if you have any questions about that, if you're
Interested in becoming a
a
bus,
bus driver, that's a huge thing.
Or an official.
Or an official, because he was lacking on ump today for the middle school game, and luckily found one. So, please get involved and show some more community support. All right, Steve. Well, I think that's going to wrap up our show today. This is the Tim and Steve Show, and we'll see you tomorrow.